features writer Nicola Gill of Cosmopolitan magazine.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 unhinged blind date moments.
Who gave you a speaking part over there? I mean...
Well, somebody has to with you around.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we're looking at the most absurd moments from this classic dating game show. Did you ever apply to go on blind date? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Amanda Holden.
Moving on to you, number 2. What's your name and where do you come from?
Hello, Cilla. My name's Amanda and I'm from London.
Lots of people might be too young to remember this, but all the way back in 1991, Amanda Holden made her debut television appearance, aged just 19, as a blind date contestant. She's almost unrecognisable, but Holden has gone on to be a familiar face on British television in the years since. At the time, she was still a drama student, waiting to get her big break.
Well, I like experienced, mature men.
You would with him.
She also talked about liking older men, and just 4 years later, she'd go on to marry comedian Les Dennis, 18 years her senior, though they got divorced in the noughties.
Hello, Barnaby.
Hi.
Can I call you Barney?
Yeah, do so, please.
You. Right, Barney. Well, first of all, I'd have to think of a nickname for your podgy bit so you don't feel too embarrassed.
And shockingly, she didn't get picked. Barnaby from Derbyshire must be kicking himself now. Number 9. Barry. This bloke had no respect for the process.
But a little bird has told me this is not the end of the story, is it really? We're going to welcome back now onto the sofa Mummy's boy, Barry.
During the short-lived revival presented by Paul O'Grady, one of the few British stars who actually could live up to the legendary Cilla Black, one couple was brought back on to talk about their date, as is tradition.
Me and Barry started talking.
Yeah.
We kind of just bumped into each other in the corridor.
I left her my number up in our changing room.
Because we were staying in the same travel lodge.
However, Callie and Alexi didn't work out, and Paul knew the real reason why. Another contestant from Callie's episode, Barry, was brought out, and it was revealed that he'd slipped Callie his number despite losing.
This is getting all a bit much for me, actually. I'm too old for all this carry on. I really am.
When there were no sparks with Alexi, Callie started texting Barry instead, and they were brought on to answer for the romantic Travelodge breakfast they'd shared.
We had breakfast together.
Hang on a minute. Where'd you been to have breakfast together?
In the travel lodge.
Oh, please. The glamour of it all.
Number 8. Sooty. What could be more seductive than going on a date with a man only for him to pull out his puppet of beloved children's television character, Sooty?
For my sake, choose the right one, please.
I think I'll have number 3.
That's what Jeff Carter did on this 1989 episode. And you might be thinking, there's no way he managed to get a date. But of course, this being blind date, Cheryl didn't see Sooty until it was too late. The audience loved him, but Jeff was bonkers. And you may have seen Jeff, a water feature designer by trade, on different reality TV shows, as he was once a contestant on Come Dine With Me when it went to Warrington. Maybe Cheryl would have been happier if he'd brought Sweep instead.
Be it on your own edge, Cheryl. You chose number 3, and that was Jeff from Cheshire.
Number 7. John Wiltshire.
Hello, number 1. What's your name and where'd you come from?
Hello, Cilla. My name's John from Leeds.
In 2013, 2 years before her passing, ITV made a special celebrating Cilla Black's 50 years in show business. This included a blind date segment featuring many returning blind date favourites, including John Wiltshire, who'd successfully landed a date back in the day.
You got your bongo, and I've got my set of bongos. And together we can go bonky.
But when he came back, John made history as the only contestant to ever win 2 dates on the show. It turned out that his first date was a dramatic failure, because upon forgetting to pack toothpaste, he didn't buy any more, nor borrow some, and then just didn't brush his teeth for days.
I didn't bring any toothpaste with me, and for 3 days, I didn't brush my teeth. She didn't want to give me a kiss, Cilla. I don't know why.
I don't know why I kissed you tonight.
And yet he was successful again, his second time around. Number 6. Count Roberto.
We're talking money here, aren't we,
We're
Roberto?
talking money here.
Because you're...
Millions and millions of lira.
Another eccentric, Roberto's claim to fame was being one of the top Toastmasters in the country, according to him, that is. He showed up in all his finery, ready to use his public speaking chops to get a date. He boasted about his Venetian lineage and the fact he's apparently a moneyed aristocrat, leading Cilla to wonder if he's not come on blind date by mistake.
Are you on the right show here?
It seems all Roberto really had going for him was his class and money, with rather an abrasive personality.
I'd like to get you on a slow boat to China.
Oh, make it quicker than that.
Comparing himself to Liberace also wasn't ideal, especially when it was a woman he was trying to get to go out with him. Poor Jilly.
One of Liberace's. No, sorry.
Because you look like Liberace.
Oh, really?
For those who are old enough to remember.
Number 5. Nikki Grimm.
She's a beauty. Her name's Nikki, and she's from Middlesex. Come in, Nikki.
Another person who turned up on Blind Date in her early career was the late Nikki Grimm, who you may recognise as a contestant from multiple series of Big Brother. That was in 2006, but 3 years prior, and she was spending an evening with Cilla in the Blind Date studio.
Tell everybody what you do.
Well, Cilla, I've just trained as a dancer, but I'm now a fully qualified beauty consultant.
Graham had some interesting men to choose from, all leery lads in their own ways, including one particularly passionate Glaswegian. It also bizarrely descended into a debate between Cilla and Nikki about the difference between a spot and a zit. Just what you want from primetime telly.
Well, zits and spots are the same thing.
Well, no.
Are they? What's the difference between a zit and a spot?
Let's go into details.
Number 4. David goes to Nepal.
Well, we're on our way to Nepal now, Sherlock. Waited and waited. It's never turned up. Looks like it's a blind date for one.
What would you do when ITV books you an all-inclusive holiday to Nepal with someone who might be the woman of your dreams and she doesn't turn up? Well, if you're David, you go regardless. Then again, who wouldn't? Maybe Charlotte wasn't into Nepal, or maybe it was David himself, but she was a no-show. It rained a lot the entire time David was over there, cloudy and overcast.
Sadly, she's missed out on a great experience, and I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody for going. It was just fantastic.
What a nice person you are.
Still, plenty of people don't get the chance to go to Nepal at all, and David made the most of his time there. He at least had the camera crew for company as he visited temples, jungles, and rode an elephant.
Well, this has been such a perfect date, the perfect setting, and you've been the perfect company. Here's to you, Pearl.
Number 3. Pure hatred. Often, if you're going on a date with someone you haven't seen and have only asked about 3 questions, you just might not have chemistry.
When the screen went back and I first saw Debs, I thought she had a nice figure, which is good because I only date size 8s. But she wasn't there, so I was a bit disappointed.
That was what happened with these two, who turned out to be a match made in hell. Adam and Debs didn't get on at all. She thought he was rude, arrogant and sexist, not to mention that he was convinced she was obsessed with him from the get-go.
After the show, Debs and I went for a meal and she kept stroking my leg, so I knew she fancied me. Girl's got taste. But I didn't pursue it because with a face like hers, I knew I'd live to regret it.
They returned to the show to talk about how the date went, and thankfully, Debs now had Cilla in her corner. Cilla really went for him, especially when she heard he'd been carrying on with another girl during their date.
And on that note...
But no, I can't just say,
No,
though.
shut up. I've had enough of you now.
No,
I've had enough of
I'll
you.
say one more thing.
No.
Number 2. Cilla quits.
Hello and welcome to this very special live show.
In the 2000s, blind dates ratings were beginning to suffer, and ITV introduced a new gimmick, live broadcast. We now got to watch the nation's singletons flounder in real time. But we saw something else happen in real time too. Cilla Black, disappointed with the live broadcasts, announced during the very first live show, without warning the crew, that she was quitting.
This is going to be my very, very last series of Blind Date.
This was after she'd already nipped rumours that she was going to leave the show in the bud, only to turn around and do just that, because she was so unhappy with Blind Date's new direction.
Yes, but we've got to make it the biggest and the bettest yet. We're going to do that, aren't we?
The show just didn't work without her.
But even though this is my last series, yes, isn't it a shame? I've had great fun for 18 years.
Number 1. Journalist.
Well, Nicola, I have to say I've got more than a big surprise for you. Because I know what you're at. And I feel awfully deeply saddened by this.
One of the most infamous moments in British television history. In 1997, contestant Nicola Gill came onto the show and actually landed herself a date. But then, when Paul and Nicola came back, Cilla had some questions for her. It turned out that Nicola was a journalist from Cosmopolitan, and she was doing a story about what it was like to appear on Blind Date.
You don't work as a temporary secretary. I know for a fact that you're an undercover journalist and you've robbed somebody of coming on a proper blind date. You work for Cosmopolitan magazine.
Suffice it to say, Cilla wasn't happy, exposing Nicola on television. Years later though, and Gill is still talking about her blind date scandal, and what an ordeal it was.
She's a journalist, ladies and gentlemen, not a blind dater at all. Is that right? Yes. Is that right?
Are you being serious, Cilla?
I am being serious, yeah.
And according to Blind Date's researchers, Nicola wasn't even single at the time. She was engaged to be married when she appeared.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.